I think another interesting use case for this, for cryptocurrency, is a prediction market. So there's this company called Augur, and they're about to release version 2, and they just had a blog post. They did a full feature freeze and UX freeze, which means they're not going to do any more changes on their version 2. It's a release candidate. They're at RC1, which means they're just going to be testing it. So Augur, what it allows you to do is bet on anything. It's a prediction market. I can make a bet on anything. I can bet on sports. I can bet on the price of cryptocurrency. I can bet on anything. So this is one of those things I always think about with cryptocurrency. I'm always thinking about, okay, what's going to be, people say, what's going to be the iPhone moment? What's it going to be when it gets real, when oh shit, this technology is actually here to stay and it's actually very useful. So I think of, okay, well, what are people doing? Well, people send people money. That's why I think stablecoins are interesting. Another thing I think is interesting is sports betting. I don't personally bet. A lot of my friends do. A lot of people talk about it. It's a very important thing. So what do? A lot of the not every state in the United States allows it. So they use these sketchy ass websites, these sketchy ass domains, and which a lot of these allow you to actually get money in Bitcoin, but it's a total pain in the ass. You have to wait 5 days before you get your money. It's a total pain in the ass. So I think of, okay, well, a lot of people do this. It's hard to do. It's a shitty experience. Well, that leaves a perfect vacuum for a new product to come out. So Augur, you could do this before, right? But it was a little clunky. That version 2 is going to make it a hell of a lot easier to make bets. They have a whole bunch of new features coming out. Also, it allows you to make bets in a U.S. In something called DAI, which is a stable coin tied to the U.S. dollar. So that means before you could only make bets in Ether, right? Ether is a cryptocurrency. The value of it changes based on the market conditions, based on what the market thinks of it. If I bet one Ether on something that's $200, by the time the bet is over, if the Ether's only worth $100, even though I won the bet, I've lost money. So now you can bet DAI. That's the goal with it. DAI, again, it's a U.S. dollar stablecoin. So now all of a sudden, you will be able to make bets in U.S. dollars. Now, DAI we've talked about on the show, it's been a little shaky in its reputation. The price of it was a little more volatile when shit was hitting the fan with the markets. But it's still relatively, it's still a reasonable stable coin. And I think it's going to be interesting once it's very easy. And I think this could be a big moment for people. I think, and I've told one of my friends, I'm like, dude, you can do this right now. And Augur is in between versions right now. They've kind of shut down version 1, not really, but kind of. So when version 2 gets here, it's going to be much easier to bet on the outcomes of everything. Now, when I say I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about you can bet on the price of cryptocurrency, but what it is, it's not a betting website. It's a prediction market. What does that mean? If it's a prediction market, it means you can bet on anything. And what does that mean? It also gives you information on the likelihood of events. So maybe I don't care about the outcome of something. Maybe I want the market to tell me what they think is going to happen. So maybe I don't want to bet any money, but I can ask a question. Do I think rainfall in 2023 is going to be above or below within 3 inches of the average of? I'm a soybean farmer, right? Do I think it's going to be where do I think it's going to be? Boom, you put this on the market. The idea is that the market will determine the likelihood of the events based on where people put their money. When people put their money on something, it leads to they've got skin in the game. They're going to give a fair assessment on what they think is going to happen. You hear the term, the phrase, betting is a tax on bullshit. When people put money down, they're going to think more about it, and they're going to be more real about it. So here's the thing. There are prediction markets right now. There's something called Predict It in the UK, which it's famous for betting on the outcome of political events, particularly in the United States. The problem with these centralized sources, even if it was legal in the US, the problem with these centralized sources is, one, there's higher fees. So there's a central authority that determines Trump was elected, Hillary Clinton lost. Okay, something needs to report the outcome of an event in order to get people paid out. So how does a decentralized thing built on the Ethereum blockchain, Augur, how does it do this? Well, it has something called rep tokens. And if you have a rep token, you can stake on an event. So you can say Trump won, Hillary lost. So you can actually give the outcome of the events. And the reason, so there's no central authority that controls it. That's the amazing thing. That is the amazing thing about cryptocurrency. There's no central authority here with Augur. It's the value. The people have a vested interest to vote on the correct outcome, because the value of that rep token that they own personally, it will go down in value if people don't trust the network. It will go up in value if people trust the network. So they have a vested interest to report correctly on the outcome of the event. So it's a very interesting project. I'll keep you posted on it. I'm very, Very curious how that's going to turn out. Okay, 1:11 p.m. Eastern. We're riffing. We're at full 110% capacity right now. Let's keep going. Okay, another project. This is called Libra. Now, you may have heard of this. This is Facebook's attempt at cryptocurrency, cross-border payments. And it got a lot of ear from central governments from around the world, with a lot of questions around it. And Facebook doesn't exactly have the best reputation. So they just announced some recent changes some updates to the project and some changes. So it's important to think about Facebook. People think it's a social network. They also own Instagram. People know that. They also own WhatsApp. People know that. But they're in the business of, quote unquote, connecting people, right? And one of the ways, and they have the Facebook Marketplace, and they have a full-on e-commerce system on Instagram. They're trying to solve this cross-border payment situation, because right now it's very cumbersome. There's high fees. It's slow. It's atrocious. If you ever tried to send money cross borders, it's insane. Now, a lot of you hear the term remittances. People, for example, a lot of Mexican immigrants in the United States send money back to their families in Mexico. They get fleeced on fees. You're talking about 5% on fees to send. For every dollar you send back, that's about 5 cents. If you're sending $500 back, let's not do math live, but that's about 5%. Is about $25 on that. So these are not small fees. Okay, so here's the announcements on Libra. So I should say another thing. I think Libra is one of those interesting projects. So there's kind of two routes with. Not two routes. I'm not going to only enumerate two. What I will say is there's kind of different schools of thought. There's permissionless blockchains. What is a permissionless blockchain? A permissionless blockchain means anyone can be a node on it and verify a transaction. Think Bitcoin, think Ethereum. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need a certificate. You don't need permission from Mark Zuckerberg. You don't need anything. They're permissionless completely. Anyone, you can on your computer right now set up a Bitcoin miner, and you don't have to give no one has to give you permission. That's the beauty of it. It's unbelievable that's even possible. It's amazing. The thing with Libra, they're actually moving to a permissioned model, which means you actually have to be a verified, to be a node on the network to verify transactions. You have to be verified. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that now all of a sudden your monetary, your financial life is in the hands of someone else, and maybe you trust them, but the reality is it's not distributed and decentralized, and there's a higher risk there, but. Maybe people don't need the whole permissionless blockchain. Maybe a permission situation is good enough. Like, put it this way. People don't care if it's on blockchain. People don't care what the technology is. They just want to be able to send $1 anywhere in the world. A lot of people don't need to do this. They don't care about it. But, there's a large percentage, or there's a large number of people that do need to do this. They don't care if it's on blockchain. They don't care if it's just in their Bank of America app. They don't give a shit. So they're not tied to the technology. So what does this mean? Maybe they don't care if it's permissionless. Well, if Facebook with Libra, which is that's their cryptocurrency project, that's their cross-border payment project. If they can send $1 anywhere in the world for super low fees, super fast, make it ready instantaneous, that's a big fucking thing. So I want to point something out. In the United States, sending money. So a lot of people use Venmo, Cash App. That money's there. Boom, it's ready instantly. The thing is, when I'm sending money to you on Venmo, that's not me actually using the banking system. That's me just sending it to your Venmo account. So Venmo has all the money, and then they decrease $20 from my account. They increase $20 in yours. Boom. It's not using the banking system. If I were to use the banking system in the United States, we've all done a bank transfer. It takes 3 to 5 business days or whatever it is. I think a lot of people don't realize that other governments do have instant payments using the regular banking system. So I think the UK is one of them. You can send someone $100 and boom, it's in their account and they have it within it's instantaneous, which is a beautiful thing. So the question is, are we going to get somewhere to that from official means? The government can give us something like that. Maybe it's a Libra. Maybe that if that user experience is going to be easier, people trust it more than this permissionless blockchain model, then maybe that's the one that wins.